وبركاته. So today I'd like to take you all to one of the greatest events in the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the night of Isra and Meraj. It's a demonstration of the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the high status of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm going to be speaking about the reaction of the people of Mecca to the incident of Isra and Meraj. So think, my brothers and sisters, about the Prophet ﷺ's return from this miraculous journey. He traveled through a single night from Mecca all the way to Masjid al-Aqsa. He passed through the gates of heaven, saw the prophets, and stood in the divine presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is obviously beyond human comprehension, and when he'd share about this incident to the people of Quraysh, it became a moment that it tested their faith and it exposed their hearts. So first point I want to bring up here is the Quraysh mocking and questioning the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the people about his journey, the Quraysh reacted with straight up disbelief. They mocked him and ridiculed the idea of traveling such a large, vast distance in just a single night. And their disbelief is summarized in the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran. وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لَكَ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ أَحَاطَ بِالنَّاسِ وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الرُّؤْيَا الَّتِي أَرَيْنَاكَ إِلَّا فِتْنَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَالشَّجَرَةَ الْمَلْعُونَةَ فِي الْقُرْآنِ وَنُخَوِّفُهُمْ فَمَا يَزِيدُهُمْ إِلَّا طُغْيَانًا كَبِيرًا. And remember, O Prophet, when we told you, certainly your Lord encompasses the people, and we have made what we brought you to see, as well as the cursed tree mentioned in the Quran, only as a test for the people. We keep warning them, but it only increases them greatly in defiance. Surah Isra, Ayah 60. So the Quraysh were obviously desperate to still disprove the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they began to interrogate him, and they asked him questions about Masjid al-Aqsa, because they knew he'd never been there before. So they questioned him about the structure, the doors, and even the number of windows. And subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He helped the Prophet ﷺ during this trial. So He raised a picture of the Masjid al-Aqsa before his eyes, and He described it to the people of Quraysh in full detail. But despite his accurate descriptions, they still obviously refused to believe, and they mocked him further and spread the news. And they did this to try to ruin his reputation, so that it shakes the faith of the people who are already following him, and it also prevents anyone else from accepting Islam. So the next thing I'd like to speak about, and I'm sure you guys already know this, is the faith of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So through all the mockery and doubt, the one man's unwavering faith was shining like a beacon of light. When Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu heard the news, he didn't even think for a moment. He said, if he, the Prophet, if he said it, then it's true. And he also said that, yes, verily, I believe something even more astonishing than that. I believe he has received revelations from the heaven for everything he does. This clearly shows that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had deep faith, and he trusted in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And from that day forward, subhanAllah, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was given the title as As-Siddiq, meaning the truthful one. The third major point I want to bring up is the more desperate attempts of the Quraysh. So one of them was that they turned to the caravan travelers for proof. So when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he was coming back to Mecca, he passed the caravan, right? And when the caravan came back to Mecca, the people of Quraysh, they asked the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ about how the caravan was. They asked him about the condition of the food and how many camels there were, and he answered them. And then when the caravan came back from Mecca, they verified it, and they found out everything he said was true, but many still refused to believe. And this wasn't because of lack of evidence, it was just their stubbornness and arrogance and refusing to submit to the truth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions their attitude and stubbornness in the Quran. وَإِن يَرَوْا آيَةً يُعْرِضُوا وَيَقُولُوا سِحْرٌ مُسْتَمِرٌ. Yet whenever they see a sign, they turn away, saying, same old magic. Surah Al-Qamar, Ayah 2. So this ayah is basically talking about the stubbornness and pride of disbelievers. Even when they saw obvious signs like in miracles such as the splitting of the moon, and they referred to them as being like simple magic tricks, and rather than believing they were from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This didn't just happen in one incident. It was the usual method of rejecting the truth all the time that was brought by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was a sign of their refusal to be guided even when provided with overwhelming evidence. So to sum up everything I've said so far, I want to say that the reaction of the people to the Isra and Mi'raj was a test of their sincerity and their faith. And while the disbelievers mocked and rejected the truth, the believers stood firm, and they were showing us their true faith. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the steadfastness of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and the courage to stand firm in our beliefs no matter the challenges we face, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase our love for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and allow us to follow his sunnah in every aspect of our lives. Jazakallah khair for your time. Take care.